crisis of unmanageable proportions. There, the words of Sherry Rahman. Let's bring in, for more analysis, Deepmala Mahla, who's CARE's Vice President of Humanitarian Affairs, joining us live. Good evening to you. The call for $160 million to help will be of little help, let's face it, right now, to people who have their feet in the floodwater. What do people need at this moment? Deepmala Mahla, let me put that question to you again. The $160 million that the UN and Pakistan are calling for to help with the situation won't help those people right now who have their feet in the floodwater. What do those people need right this moment, in your view?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark. So the humanitarian needs are unprecedented and the situation is very fluid because we are receiving newer reports, updates around the damages, the needs of the people. But what we are getting from the ground, the urgent needs of people include things like shelter, medical care, food supplies, child survival kits for children, menstrual hygiene management items, protection. And also, I must note that whenever there is catastrophic funding, the risk of waterborne diseases is very high. And we are already aware of waterborne diseases and infections, which will even complicate and compound the situation further. So we are imagining a scenario where the humanitarian needs are going to swell. And this is really a time where all support needs to come to Pakistan because time is of essence in this context.
Deepmala, you mentioned the possibility of waterborne disease. One of my questions I was going to put to you was the fear of perhaps a cholera outbreak, something along those lines. How important is it to act right now to make sure that doesn't happen?
I cannot emphasize how important it is to act right now, because once a disease outbreak happens, it is very difficult to contain, especially when water is not receding. And also, let's say some of the communities or people who have managed to go to higher land, because they do not have access to medical care, food, clean drinking water, sanitation facilities, they are also at even bigger risk. We were talking to our colleagues in Pakistan, some of them are in Quetta at the moment. There are essentially no latrines or sanitation facilities. We are trying to help people with, for example, emergency latrine kits. So in this situation, time is of essence. If we don't act now, it is only going to grow bigger. And as CARE, as the humanitarian community, we totally support call by the UN and the government of Pakistan for urgent and immediate help.
Indeed. How is your group CARE helping right now, Deepmala? Tell us a bit more about what you're doing and what you're hoping to do next.
Right. So we are working at parallel. On one hand, we are doing the rapid needs assessment, understanding especially the specific needs of women, girls, and marginalized people. And on the other hand, we are providing relief items. What we have prioritized is shelter kits, which include a range of things, including tents, tarpaulins, toothbrushes, soap, undergarments, etc. We are also providing, as I mentioned, emergency latrine kits, water purifier tablets. And at the same time, we are doing assessment of the needs, because let us realize, I cannot emphasize enough how important it is for any humanitarian response to be tailored specifically to the needs of women and marginalized people. But it's so dynamic. Let me give you an example. Our team was in one village doing an assessment and trying to understand what is of utmost importance to the community. Next day, our team went there. The village wasn't there. It was already swept off. So then we are also facing difficulties in because we are not able to reach some of the communities because of the infrastructure damage. A lot of the bridges and roads were damaged even before the current catastrophic rains, and the recent sort of torrential flooding has compounded it further. So each day, each hour, things are changing very rapidly, but because CARE has a presence in the country for many years, we have partnerships with local organizations, and we are working with provincial authorities. Things are moving, but we really need to scale up the humanitarian response, and urgent support is needed. We really have to respond to the call made by the government of Pakistan.
Deepmala Mahla, CARE's Vice President of Humanitarian Affairs, thank you very much for sharing with us what your organisation is doing, and obviously giving us your views on what else needs to be done in order to help the people of Pakistan in the water, I think it's fair to say, at this present moment in time with widespread flooding, the worst in the country's history, according to the Prime Minister. But the situation, as Deepmala was saying, could go from bad to worse, with the possibility of waterborne disease such as cholera taking grip. So urgent action required there. The UN and Pakistan calling for $160 million in aid to help the people right now. We, of course, will keep across all developments on this story for you.